We start with a communication study, and it's basically how do people in a community communicate with each other. We start to really key into mail and how it moves around Bank Street. So we meet Hector downstairs in Central Services, who sends the mail in and out. And we also learn that he has many other parts to his job, including making copies, sending faxes, making sure that we have stationery in the college and in the school, making sure that we have different colors of paper and things to copy on, all of those supplies. And after that, we start to think about our neighborhood. Where does our mail go after it leaves Bank Street? And we meet Miss Jones at the 112th Street Post Office, and she tells us about her job and the mail that comes in and out of there. And we go in small groups, so they really learn about it in a small group setting. And they start to think about how they're going to recreate that in the room.
We kind of copied them. Well, not really like copy them, but we tried to make it look like a post office like they had. We added all the post office ideas that we've seen into it, and we made our own post office that was really different.
They're involved in every aspect of it, from the design to the execution of it. They decide whether we need one counter or two. They design original stamps, they make mailboxes, and then decide what kind of sorting bins we need. They decide who's going to do what job or how many jobs we need. And that really is all based on them.
Aha! There's enough for everybody here. Oh, this one has my stamp on it. What? Can I see? That's my stamp.
We saved you a couple for
In addition to having their own place in our schedule, literacy, math, and science are also seamlessly integrated into our social studies. In the post office curriculum, children are thinking about how people communicate and how specifically print and numbers are used to determine where mail needs to be delivered. Part of their initial study involves creating a floor plan of the building so that they can collect and deliver mail. Back in the classroom, children construct their own post office out of hollow blocks. They consider how much space they will need for various work areas and jobs they've learned about. Collected mail is sorted and organized based on address location.
301. I don't know.
Social studies really is the study of how people in a society live and work together and how they function. And so that's what we're really studying. And so that's applicable to all facets of life. And social studies curriculum can be as simple as a social emotional curriculum that teaches you about feelings, that teaches you how to relate to other people and how to read other people. And then it also can be different where you're studying something like long ago and far away.
Come on over.
Whoa.
So here are the gills. That's the heart. Look. So we've got the heart. What's right behind the heart that helps do? It's a different color than the liver. The liver right here. Here's our kidney. Underneath the kidney are here's the swim bladder. So what are these things we're looking at here?
Scales.
Gills, yeah.
Is that a scale? Yes.
We study the Hudson River in the 7/8 because it's something that a lot of the kids can relate to. They see the river on a daily basis, but it's a very complicated and complex system. So there's a lot to investigate. There are a lot of questions, and there's a lot to learn and a lot of unknown.
So Sarah was thinking that the source is where the river starts. So Sarah's saying maybe it's down here. Do I see any brain matches or some different thinking on that? Amelia.
I have some different thinking because, see, it's sort of like a hill, it's sort of slanted. It would be hard for the water to travel up. It can't really flow even if this part's overflowed and just the water keeps going. Because if the source was here, it could go down more easily.
Watch how the water flows.
This is like Tear of the Clouds. It goes down Mount Marcy into the upper river. It separates by these lines here. So this is the upper river, middle river, and lower river.
We take a lot of field trips to get to the river and to see different parts of the river. In the spring, we go seining up in Bezac, and the students get to experience fishing with a net. So seining, fishing with a net, getting into the river, seeing what kind of wildlife they can catch. And they also get to explore the estuary in that area and see what they see in nature and see what kind of boats and people they see out along the river while we're there. So then around the midpoint of the year, we start looking at the Hudson River long ago. And so we do that by looking at our model of the Hudson River that the students have been building up along the way. And then around January, we start traveling back in time and thinking about what the river looked like long ago. And so we take away anything from our model that would not have been here long ago. So it's still the here, but now we're traveling back in time. So we're changing one dimension at a time. The model is important to the study of the Hudson River because it allows the kids to recreate what they have learned and what they have seen along the river. It also gives them a concrete way of thinking about the different parts of the river that we can't see and experience every day.
The Lenape used saplings, which are baby trees, but we are using pipes because we can't just go out and cut down trees. That would be pretty bad for the environment. And then, instead of using bark as the covering of the wigwam, we used fabric.
Studying long ago is important because it gives kids an understanding of how the experiences they're having today are really a continuum of what has happened in the past and how their experiences are impacted by what's happened in the past and how the choices that they make and the experiences they have will actually impact what happens in the future.
Was the whole island of Mannahatta and the mainland covered in forest?
In fact, the National Geographic Society identified the 7/8 Hudson River curriculum as an exemplar of geoliteracy.
I think what makes math and science different at Bank Street is this concept of the nature and the practice of the subject. You can open up any math textbook and any science textbook. You can visit any math class or any science class, and you're going to see the same content. It doesn't differ. What differs is how the information is presented, how the teacher interacts with the student around that information. Our model is a model of guided inquiry. We don't like to give kids the answer. If a kid asks a question, I ask that kid a question back. I want them to struggle. Struggle is really good. And then I want them to surpass their challenge and come out on the other side with some new, rich knowledge.
You know, like when you throw it, when you throw it up, it's at 2 seconds, and when it comes back down, it's at 5 seconds.
There we go, yeah. Science, by definition, is the process of observing, testing, and then drawing conclusions and retesting. That's the process of science.
Is there a color change occurring? Is there gas coming off? What gas might it be? Look, what's hydrogen. That's excellent.
That sort of fundamental view of science really lends itself well to an experiential learning environment. Every year we run a 6 to 8 week long independent science project that we call Science Expo, in which students have their own research questions that they develop themselves and then they go about answering.
We were wondering whether when you combine acid with metal, the change is physical, which means that it can be changed back, like ripping a piece of paper in half or dissolving salt into water, or chemical, like rust, where it actually changes the substance into something completely different.
The entire process of Science Expo is student-led. My job during this time is not to teach science, it's to support students doing science.
The 8th grade social studies curriculum is American government. So the fall curriculum is a study of the Supreme Court, and that's also done through role play. So the spring study of the legislative branch is mock Congress.
My name is Gray Muskowski, and this is my 36th year as a Michigan senator. I plan to use my experience to revitalize the Senate, which was unacceptably lethargic and inefficient during its last incarnation.
Mock Congress is curriculum drama at its best, and curriculum drama is really about student-centered learning. Students are actively in a process of inquiry, of asking questions and then designing for themselves what that society, what that country is that they want to live in. What's important to them.
On the topic of LGBT equality, I've spent a lot of time trying to fight for the rights of LGBT people. And at the moment, LGBT veterans. Some veterans aren't getting the benefits that others are getting strictly because they are gay, bisexual, or transgender. I feel that any veteran deserves all the benefits that they can get, no matter what sexual orientation.
One classroom plays the House and the other classroom plays the Senate, so that we're really representing or mimicking what happens in the real life Congress.
Right now, we're not focusing on our long-term solution. We're focusing on what we can do to keep California on its feet. And once we have that figured out, we can try something else.
Well, if your climate change exists, then this is going to happen again, isn't it?
Then the only difference is that Senate number 1 is better organized and is more specific and could actually be put in action if it were passed. So it seems like those are negative things.
The reason they're not going to do it is because his bill is more like my original bill and less like Liam's bill.
We're going to pass our bill in the House, and it's going to pass because there's a Republican majority. And Soule is a Democrat supports the bill because it is a compromise.
I think what we are all forgetting is we're here to help our state's district. And both of these bills would have this law put in place nationwide. And whether you're for gun control or against gun control, your state may have better laws that you support even more than these. So you should just think about that and think, is this bill really going to help me or is it not?
Well, I feel like some people are thinking about not only their districts but the nation, because you don't want your district to be fantastic and then the rest of the nation to be in ruins. So I think that it's more important to think about the impact that it's going to create on the entire United States rather than just your district and your state.
Despite the disagreements we have with that, I think we should pass this now. I think this is the best we're going to see it without having it go back to the House. And I don't think it's going to pass the House a second time. I think we're really lucky that it passed the House the first time.
The vote is 10 for approving this, so it'll be passed.
Congratulations.
A 13 and 14-year-old is at that perfect stage in life where they're questioning authority. They're trying to figure out who they are, what their identity is. Those questions, right, that burn at the core of every 13, 14-year-old are the questions of what it means to be a democratic nation. Who are we? What do we want to be? And this notion of rebellion, too, questioning authority, questioning things that you don't like. So I love that. I love that spirit. It's like this fiery spirit that they bring in. And if I can harness that, if I can focus that, wow, we can go to the moon together.
You feel like there's more at stake, instead of just, oh, well, I have to study for this test, I guess. You think, oh, I have to pass this bill, let me research it more. And because you're so much more engaged, you soak up more information.
It's the U.S. Congress only in our school, and the U.S. Congress is one of the most powerful bodies in the world. And it's good to have a tiny bit of that power right here at our school. Evan, did it pass?
Yeah, the bill has passed.
Yes. Or handshake.
We have an enormous commitment to social studies, to preparing our students to be active citizens of a democratic society, to be good friends, family members, neighbors, and to be curious lifelong learners. Of course, all that involves more than social studies class. So for example, during the 13s, 14s year, in addition to all their regular studies, students mount a very ambitious Broadway musical. They collaborate on the publication of their yearbook, they do community service, they learn actively about living in a democratic society, and they participate in social justice activities. They even go to DC for a week where they meet with members of Congress, lobbyists, even a Supreme Court justice on occasion. We want our students' experiences to be broad and their lives to be full because we believe that it's this range and quality of these different experiences that help to shape who each student is becoming.
The end result is that these children are young adults who are socially aware, They're conscious of other people. They have a social language and an empathy for others, an understanding of themselves and the world, also an empowerment. That's something we teach from a very young age.
They really do feel it's about them and their learning. The kids are at the center of all that we do, and we're all here to work for them and to support them in their growth, socially, emotionally, academically.
They know that they are at kind of the cutting edge, that their teachers are pushing maybe the envelope a little bit or trying something new, and they're really receptive to that. Like they've grown so much as thinkers, they know themselves as learners, that they're willing to kind of take that risk with you as a teacher. They're saying, yeah, let's go along on that ride. That looks like fun, and I want to try that out.
Ha ha ha!